Crimson dawn washed its first grainy light over the spires of King's Landing as the procession from the north wound beneath the shadowed arch of the Mudgate. The air, already heavy with the smells of brine and tanner's vats, settled thickly on the Stark entourage. Sweat beaded on the helms of Winterfell's guard and dampened the sable cloaks that billowed behind their lord. Eddard Stark rode at their head astride his gray, ice-flecked courser, quiet as a distant storm and twice as inevitable. His gray eyes, bleached by northern winter and narrowed by weeks on the King's Road, swept the clamorous city with a soldier's appraisal, counting watchtowers, measuring the mood of crowds, listening for the pitch of fear or rebellion in each shouted greeting. He heard none of that yet, only the scatter of children racing for vantage, the barkers hawking dates and pomegranates, and the persistent clamor of hammer on anvil from the smithies that choked the sloping street. Behind him, Sir Jory Castle kept the honor guard tight, while Arya craned for every alley and market stall, and Sansa rode stiff-backed in the saddle, conspiratorially whispering to Septa Mordain about the facade of the great sept gleaming ahead. The Red Keep loomed far above, a bloody crown upon Aegon's Hill, and as the morning ripened, its red stones seemed to smolder, promising privy intrigues, whispered treasons, and a hotbed of royal tempers stoked through 2 decades of uneasy peace. Ned Stark had come once before, a young lord riding at Robert Baratheon's side in the wake of victory, banners snapping on the wind of destiny. That had been a sunrise of promise. This dawn tasted of old dust and unspent storm, and though he was tired from travel, from the news of Jon Arryn's sudden death, and the burden of a hand's chain he had never sought, he carried himself with that stony composure that men mistook for coldness. It was only discipline, hammered into him by the rigors of northern rule. Discipline and distrust. Waiting at the foot of Visenia's hill were the king's honor guard, and beside them, a lean man in a dove-gray doublet sewn with moonstones, smiling as though the world were some jest whispered for him alone. Pettier Baelish bowed flamboyantly, sweeping an arm in mock heroics. "Lord Stark," he began, voice smooth as soft wine, "you do the capital honor, gracing it with frost after so many warm seasons." The courtiers at his back tittered like gulls. Ned dismounted without answering and passed the reins to a groom. He had expected Littlefinger's welcome. Varys had assured him, in the raven that fluttered north weeks ago, that Baelish would make himself indispensable. The spymaster had ended his letter with a curl of purple ink shaped like a spider. Ned hated riddles and the men who built fortunes upon them. Baelish led the way up the switchback stair toward the Red Keep, describing in casual, lilting tones how the city had thrived since the defeat of the Greyjoys, how trade from Lys had doubled, how the crown's coffers were troubled only by the pangs of optimism. Ned answered with grunts and nods, mind half upon the man's words, half upon the poised dagger glinting beneath each unctuous phrase. Catelyn's warning echoed in his memory. Pettier had loved her once, and for that he bore a hidden grudge, feigning friendship while sowing mischief. To trust him was to juggle wildfire. At the final landing, Baelish paused, gesturing theatrically toward the inner doors. "The small council convenes within, my lord. Their heads are full of petitions, deficits, and half-baked schemes, all waiting for your cool northern judgment." Ned studied him in silence. Cool northern judgment, aye, but the heat of Robert's court could warp iron into serpent coils. Baelish quirked a brow, taken aback by so long a pause. "Is aught amiss?" Ned answered in a voice as low as the wind beneath a frozen lake. "You wrote to my lady wife, urging her secret arrival for news of Lysa Arryn's suspicions. You met her in the night, concealed the blade used to kill Jon Arryn, swore that a Lannister sent it. You cast this net wide and reckless. I would know why." The corridor seemed suddenly smaller. Servants edged backward, their faces taut. Baelish laughed thinly. My dear Lord Eddard, it was only a game, Ned cut in. I have no taste for games that risk my wife's life or the safety of my house. He reached inside his cloak and drew forth a slim leather pouch. From it he produced the dagger, dragon bone hilt, Valyrian steel, pale as first ice. The ripple of steel drew every eye. Whose blade is this, Lord Baelish? Speak plain. Something flickered behind Petter's eyes. Fear, annoyance, calculation. Before a sardonic tilt of lips regained the ascendant. It was lost to me betting on the tourney of the hand. Years ago, I blamed the imp to cause him trouble. A harmless misdirection, I assure you. The lie was neat, but the corners didn't fit. Ned saw how the courtiers fidgeted, how the two gold cloaks at the doors shifted their weight, uncertain. He stepped closer. You gave my lady a lie that set her against the queen's kin, stoked rumor into wildfire, and summoned me from a kingdom that needs shepherding. Because of your harmless misdirection, there may come war. Ned did not raise his voice. The stone did that for him, carrying each measured word down the corridor. Baelish's smile froze. Surely you don't suggest. I suggest I have seen enough. Ned turned to Jory. Sir Jory, take Lord Baelish into custody. The silence fell like a hammer blow. For a heartbeat, the air held its breath. Then steel rang against scabbard as Winterfell men encircled Baelish. The little lord's smile did not break, but his fingers twitched at his sides. This is madness, he said softly. You lack the warrant. I'm the king's hand, Ned replied. My warrant is the realm. He looked to the gold cloaks. You will assist, or you will be considered complicit. They hesitated, yellow cloaks rustling. Sir Jory's sword was bared, northern steel etched with the grey direwolf. The sight of it decided the matter. The Lannister men stepped aside. Petter's voice rose, silky and desperate. Lord Stark, think. A single whisper can topple more than thrones. Let us talk in council, not corridors. We will talk at the God's Wood, Ned said. If truth is water, let the old gods hear it flow. Within the Red Keep's small God's Wood, sunlight dripped through myrtle leaves and painted shifting mosaics upon the grass. The heart tree, transplanted south generations ago, bore no face. Its bark was smooth, its sap pale as milk. Ned knelt anyway, touching the roots as though they might yet listen. Littlefinger stood bound between two guards, wrists tied with rawhide, an incredulous sneer painted on his lips. Ned rose. You will answer for the dagger, and for drawing my wife into peril. Speak the names of those complicit, or answer to the king. He did not relish this duty. Baelish had been Robert's friend, the keeper of coin, a necessary evil in a realm of debts. But necessity ended where treason began. Baelish tilted his head. Names. Many men hold knives, Lord Stark. Shall I point at shadows? You would hunt specters while Lannisters smile in their eyries. I did what honor demanded, warned a dear woman of a hidden threat. He licked his lips. If that offends you, strike and damn your own cause. Arya watched from behind a weirwood sapling, ghosting between leaves like a feral cat. Sansa stood further back, white-faced, clutching Septa Mordane's sleeve. Ned's heart clenched at the sight. Children should not witness the ugliness of adult deceit, but truth, however cruel, must be seen. He drew his longsword slowly. Ice had not made the journey. The greatsword rode behind, strapped across the baggage wagons, still climbing Visenia's hill. Instead he bore a knight's blade, yet the gesture's weight remained. Swear to the gods you speak truth, he said. Baelish's chuckle was brittle as frost. I know no gods in this garden, only men. His eyes flicked to Sansa, soft, uncertain, then to Arya. Wild and watchful. He saw leverage in them, but his hands were tied. You brandish steel as though the North rides with you. Yet you stand alone, Ned. Robert drinks, Sir Barristan dithers, and the Queen rules in everything but name. Arrest me, and you make a martyr of the Master of Coin. Execute me, and you prove the North a savage breed unfit for courts. None tyranny. There is always a choice, Ned murmured, recalling his father's words at dawn upon the wall long ago. When a man of honor knows the cost of mercy is ruin, he must choose justice and bear the weight. He lifted his sword until its tip glinted against Baelish's throat. I choose the realm over whispers, and honor over intrigue. A breath. Baelish's final mask fell. Fear gaped beneath. If I fall, the crown's debts will drown you, he hissed. The Lannisters will close their purse. The Tyrells will circle like hawks. I am the coin that oils every hinge in this kingdom. Nay, 7. Coin cannot ransom a kingdom's soul, Ned said, and with a swift, decisive cut, parted Petyr Baelish from his lies. Blood sprayed in a hot arc across the myrtle leaves, and a cry broke from Sansa's throat. The body toppled forward, twitching, staining the pale roots crimson. Silence claimed the godswood, broken only by the soft rasp of steel sliding back into leather. Arya did not scream. Her eyes were wide, reflecting the glimmer of blood like twin pools of dust. She met her father's gaze and nodded once, understanding something of hard truths that childhood summer had never taught. News traveled through the Red Keep like wildfire racing a dry fuse. Some lords scoffed, others trembled. Renly Baratheon burst into the small council chamber, green cloak swirling, demanding explanation. Ned gave it, plain and unvarnished. Petyr Baelish had misled the Lady Stark with false accusation, attempted to sow discord between the realm's two greatest houses, and confessed under questioning to forging the letter that named Tyrion Lannister responsible for the dagger. He had been executed by the lawful command of the Hand, pending the king's assent. Renly's handsome face tightened in disbelief. Robert will never assent. He has known Baelish half his reign. Ned set the executed man's false confession upon the table like a challenge. Robert will know the truth, and if my judgment displeases him, I will yield the chain. But this cancer is cut away. Ranmaester Pycelle frowned, bearded, trembling. Lord Baelish managed the coin. Who now will keep the ledgers? Ned considered the parchments lining the council chamber like desiccated snakeskins. Sir Roderick Castle will examine the books until a suitable master of coin is chosen. We shall learn whether the crown's debts match the shining stories Baelish spun. Varys folded plump hands, black eyes unreadable. Oh, a daring stroke, my lord Hand. Yet strokes may draw blood from unseen quarters. The Queen will not weep, but the Lannisters are patient. Casterly Rock's vengeance is measured in gold, not tears. None, Shandy. That may be, Ned answered, but better an open foe than a smiling traitor. That night, Robert staggered into the council chamber, flushed and sour with wine, Cersei gliding behind him like a pale wraith. Candlelight pooled in his tangled hair as he listened to Ned's calm report. The king's brow knit, first in confusion, then anger. 7 hells. Ned, you lop a man's head first day in the city. Could you not wait till I'd warmed the throne? Ned held his tongue while Robert paced. At length the king slumped into a chair, rubbing his temples. Was Baelish truly traitor? Gods know I never understood half his plots. He forged the dagger's trail, Ned said softly. He framed the Queen's brother to pit Lannister against Stark. He courted war for sport. Robert grunted. And you have proof of this? Ned offered the confession, signed and sealed by his own hand, and witnessed by Sir Jory and 2 septons. Robert scanned the parchment, lips moving. Well, bugger me with a boar's tusk. Littlefinger, you slippery git. Sherzai's face was marble, but her eyes flicked to the letter everywhere Ned had written Lannister. She spoke at last, voice silk smooth. My brother is exonerated. I trust the Hand will deliver this news to him personally. I will, Ned said, and I will ask him to return to King's Landing under the King's protection, that he may answer questions about Jon Arryn's final days. The Queen's smile hardened. Robert looked from wife to friend, baffled. Do what you must, Ned. Gods, I'm too weary to untangle it. He waved a hand. But know this. I won't have my reign start with Northern headsman's justice. Next time, tell me first. There will be no next time, Cersei murmured, so low Robert did not hear. The city awoke the following day to proclamations pinned on sept doors and hung at street corners. Petyr Baelish, Lord of Harrenhal, Master of Coin, executed for treason. Some scoffed at northern barbarism. Others whispered relief. Gold exchanged hands in taverns where once Baelish's informants held court. Spies fled or offered new loyalties. The flow of coin to certain gutters dried overnight. A few unmarked ledgers vanished from the Tower of the Hand, spirited away by unknown hands before Sir Roderick's clerks arrived. Varys reported all this in a single parchment, scented faintly of lilac, warning that chaos made fertile soil for seeds of every poison. Ned spent the morning with Roderick in the counting house, sickened by column after column of debt. 3 million to the Iron Bank, 200,000 to the Tyrells, untold sums to sundry sellsword captains. The realm is afloat on a sea of bronze pennies, Sir Roderick muttered, twirling his whiskers. The stiff breeze will drown us. Ned's head swam with numbers. He preferred the certainty of steel and snowfall. Yet he saw now how Baelish's games had snared the kingdom in invisible chains. He sent ravens north, to Catelyn at River Run, warning her of Littlefinger's death, to Winterfell, instructing Robb to stand vigilant, to Stannis on Dragonstone, requesting counsel, and he wrote to Jon Arryn's old agents in the Vale, bidding them send every scrap on the dead hands investigations. If Baelish had forged one lie, others lay in ambush. Meanwhile, whispers seeped through court that the Queen had summoned Sir Jaime from Casterly Rock with all haste. The King's lair rode hard, his column of crimson cloaks thundering up the King's Road by moonlight. Ned marked each rumor, each courier, each tilt of power, and understood that in striking one serpent, he had roused the viper's nest. Sansa avoided her father for 2 days, retreating to her chambers, eyes redrimmed from weeping. Septa Morden fussed, blaming northern crudeness. On the 3rd evening, Ned found his eldest daughter in the maiden vault balcony, staring over the city where lanterns winked like scattered embers. He approached quietly, hand on the stone balustrade. "The sea looks different at night here," he said. Sansa did not turn. "It smells of rot," she whispered. He waited. "You think me cruel," he finally said, "for killing a courtier when I could have shown mercy." Sansa's shoulders trembled. "You shamed us," she breathed. "The court calls you butcher. They say you swing swords like a headsman and will bathe the city in blood before winter." Tears tracked her cheeks. "Jane says the court will never accept me now. They fear you." Ned swallowed the ache. "Mercy bears fruit only when truth is tended first. Littlefinger sowed lies that could have wrenched this realm apart. He plotted behind sweet smiles. I ended that plot." He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "I would spare you such sights, but you are a Stark of Winterfell. We look the hard truth in the face." Sansa's voice shook. "I wish to marry a gallant prince to dance at tourneys. Now they will whisper I am daughter of the butcher of Baelish." Ned's heart cracked at the chasm between her hopes and this harsh dawn. "You will learn," he said softly, "that honor sometimes wears a grim face. It is no less honor. Give the court time. They are like fields after a frost, brittle, but life returns." She made no reply, but when he kissed her brow, she did not draw away. Arya, by contrast, sought him out. Training in the small hall, she lunged at straw targets with needles flashing, her braids loose and eyes ablaze. "He tried to trick Mother," she said between thrusts. "He deserved more than one cut." Ned watched her footwork, too wide on the recovery, yet strong spirit shone. He thought of his sister Lyanna, fierce shod on horse. "Keep your point up," he murmured. She grinned. "I will, father." By the week's end, King Robert announced a great feast to honor his hand, and to wash away the taste of grim business. Casks of arbor gold arrived, boars turned on spits, and traveling singers were bribed to perform body lays. Yet unease crept beneath the revelry. The empty seat at council where Baelish once drummed clever fingers served as spectre. Cersei smiled, but her green eyes glittered like shattered glass. Ned attended the feast in black wool trimmed with silver. The velvets and brocades of southerners had always felt like borrowed skins. He drank sparingly, listened politely to Renly's laughter, and watched how the queen whispered to Grand Maester Pycelle, to Lord Commander Selmy, to her cousin Lancel, all threads spun in a silken web. When Robert rose, staggering, calling for a hunt on the morrow, Cersei's smile widened a fraction. Ned felt the first sting of premonition. Late that night he sought Varys in the wine cellar where the eunuch was rumored to haunt. Among casks dusted white as old bones, the spider emerged, shaped by candlelight into something almost ethereal. "Lord Stark brings winter to these red stones," Varys intoned, voice purring. "Littlefinger's blood still stains the roots of the godswood. The small folk whisper of God's awakening. I need information, not riddles. But riddles unwrap the world, good my lord." "What would you ask?" "Does the queen plot against Robert?" Varys' smile was a crescent moon. "She plots for her children, which is to say, always." A pause. "I warned the late Lord Arryn, and he flew too near the sun. I warned Sir Baelish, in my way, and he played with wildfire. I now warn you. The next move upon this board will spill more than petty lordling's blood. Tell me what John Arryn found." Varys sighed, long and soft. "Seeds. The seed is strong." So wrote the hand in his book of lineages. He meant to show that all Baratheons bear the same caste, black hair, blue eyes. A simple thing, yet what grows from simple truths can fell kingdoms. He fixed Ned with dark, pitying eyes. "Guard your children, Lord Stark. The knife that once pointed at a dwarf now points elsewhere." Ned absorbed that, heart heavy. "If you would protect the realm, help me warn the king." "I serve the realm," Varys murmured, "but I do so from shadows. Shine a northern torch too brightly, and I burn." Ned left the cellar unsettled, the chill of stone clinging to his bones. He recalled Robert's plan to hunt on the morrow, a hunt Cersei welcomed. In the north, men said a boar hunt was as deadly as battle when politics loaded the spear. Dawn came harsh and bright when the king's party set forth. Robert, already flushed with wine, insisted Ned remain behind to master the council in his absence. "I need a man to mind lions and adders," he slurred. "And gods, no Renly's, no shepherd." Cersei stood beside her husband in polished green leather, lips curved. "The hand will do as duty commands," she said. Ned caught the challenge beneath her courtesy. He bowed, but his thoughts raced. If danger stalked Robert on this hunt, Ned's place was at his side. Yet refusal might reveal fear, and fear was meat to lions. Reluctantly, he consented. The royal party thundered south toward the Kingswood, leaving Ned Stark alone among serpents. That afternoon, Sir Jaime Lannister reached the city gate, crimson armor gleaming. Ned watched from the ramparts as the Kingslayer dismounted, tossed his reins to a groom, and swept his golden hair from eyes that shone with cold amusement. In his wake followed 200 men at arms, cuirasses bright with the Lion of Casterly Rock. The city saw them and remembered Baelish's blood on the weirwood roots. Ned convened the council at dusk. Jaime attended unbidden, lounging near the door with a half-smile. "I come at the Queen's request," he drawled. "If my presence offends, unrequest me. But do hurry. I long for sisterly reunion." Ned ignored the jibe. He laid the ledger of debts upon the table. "My lords, we face ruin. The realm bleeds coin faster than we can mint it. We must halt all tourneys until the books are set aright." Renly objected, but Pycelle nodded, stroking his beard. "Prudence, yes. The Tyrell alone. Dear me." Varys watched, silent. Jaime examined his nails. "How fortunate you executed the man who understood such puzzles." Ned met his gaze. "A puzzle rigged to explode? I will not apologize." The air between them thrummed, a drawn bowstring. Before words could sharpen into steel, the doors opened and a breathless courier stumbled in, face white. "A stag," he blurted, then corrected. "A boar." The king struck, gored. Time slowed. Ned's world narrowed to the messenger's quaking lips. Robert's hunt, Cersei's smile. Varys' warning. "Is Robert alive?" he demanded. "Clinging, my lord. They bear him on a litter, 5 days' ride behind." 5 days. Enough for webs to knot tight. Jaime's smile faded. "My sister must be told." He vanished through the doors in a flash of crimson. Varys' whisper slid through the hush. "The game quickens." Ned stood unmoving, fingers gripping the table's edge. He had slain 1 traitor, yet 10 more rose from the cut stump. The Red Keep shadows lengthened, and the taste of coming winter lay on his tongue. Cold, inevitable, and laced with the iron tang of blood. Word of Robert's wound spread as dusk to dawn. Small folk prayed in septs. Taverners wagered on survival, and the queen retreated into her chambers with her children. Sir Jaime posted like a golden sentinel beyond the doors. Ned kept vigil in the solar, quills scratching parchment after parchment, commands to Sir Barristan to guard the throne, orders to the city watch to double patrols, letters to Stannis urging immediate return. Yet even as ink dried, his doubts bled. Who had loosed the boar? A drunken king invited mishap, but kings rarely die of simple chance when queens stand to gain. Ned resolved to see Robert upon his return and drag the truth into daylight. 3 days passed. At breakfast on the 4th, a raven landed with scroll stained by rain. "King Robert Baratheon, first of his name, lies abed in his pavilion, fevered, wound, festering. He will not last the day." Ned gripped the bird's claw, cold dread piercing. 5 days' ride had become 4. The hunt camp lay nearer now. He called for Sir Jory. "Ready our horses, we ride to the king." Jory frowned. "The city, my lord, without you. I will not let Robert die among strangers." He paused, knowing the risk, weighing it against honor. "You will remain, command the Stark Guard. I ride with a dozen." As he strapped on his sword, a knock sounded. Varys entered, face solemn. "Too late, my lord. His grace rides for the city even now, borne by wheelhouse with masters attending. They say he begs to see his friend." Ned's breath shuddered. "Then I must prepare the throne room." "Prepare your soul," the eunuch corrected softly. "For kings may die, but crowns find new heads before the corpse is cold." At sunset, the wheelhouse clattered to the courtyard, lanterns bobbing. Robert's groans echoed within, mingled with the stench of sour wine and infected flesh. Ned climbed inside. The sight unmade him. Robert's great chest risen and fallen in ragged gasps, skin slick with sweat, black hair plastered to pallid brow. "Ned," the king rasped, eyes unfocused. "Killed the bastard boar, but God, he killed me too." Tears welled from Ned's unblinking eyes. "Save your strength." Robert coughed, spattering blood. Strength gone. Only words left. Write, Ned. Pen and parchment. A scribe scuttled, thrust quill into Ned's hand. Robert dictated, each breath a battle. Appoint Eddard Stark protector of the realm. Rule in my stead until my son comes of age. Ned wrote, hand steady though heart thundered. At the line naming Joffrey, he hesitated, quill poised. The seed is strong. Baratheon's seed is black of hair. Joffrey's hair gleamed gold as a summer lion. He replaced the boy's name with these words, my rightful heir. Robert, half blind with pain, did not notice. He sealed the letter with trembling fingers. Promise me, Ned. Make him king. Stop the queens scheming. Ned swallowed grief, bowed over the parchment. I will, my brother. Robert smiled, a shadow of old mirth. Tell Renly, yes, a proper king. Stannis, too hard. Ned gripped his friend's hand until dawn's first light flickered across the courtyard. When the sun rose, King Robert drew a final rattling breath and fled this mortal coil, leaving silence thicker than armor. Ned Stark walked from the wheelhouse with the letter clutched like a shard of destiny. The courtyard brimmed with Lannister crimson, Stark gray, Tyrell green. Jaime approached. How fares our king? One glance at Ned's face answered. Jaime's eyes flickered to the scroll. Protector, are you? His smile was a blade's edge. Ned met the Kingslayer's stare. By Robert's own hand. Then best hurry, before parchment cools. In this city, thrones are seized in hours, not days. Jaime turned, cloak whirling, and strode toward the keep, calling for the city watch. Bells began to toll, slow, mournful, inexorable. Ned inhaled the dawn air, tasting ash. Littlefinger's execution had been the first stone cast. Now, the avalanche thundered, and honor stood alone upon the slope. He thought of Catelyn, far away. Of Robb and Bran beneath Winterfell's skies. Of Sansa's tears and Arya's furious thrusts. He thought of ice, strapped in its oiled case, waiting to meet justice yet again. With steady steps, he climbed toward the throne room, scroll in hand, winter in his heart, and the ghosts of Godswood roots whispering that sometimes the only path through treachery is the one traced by cold steel and colder resolve. Dios, Tai Chi. The bells wailed through the red keep, iron throats crying the death of a king, and every note shivered up Eddard Stark's spine like the rasp of steel on wet stone. He strode beneath vaulting archways hung with banners of stag and lion, the sealed parchment clenched in his fist, the gilded rushes muffling his boots. Guards and servants scattered before him, some bowing, some only staring, as though the hand had become a sword made flesh and might cleave any who lingered. Outside the Tower of the Hand, Sir Jory Castle waited in breastplate and northern greaves, helm tucked beneath one arm. A dozen Winterfell men fanned behind him. Their eyes were flint. They already knew. Ned handed Jory the letter written in Robert's squirreling, blood-smudged script. Take 6 good men, he ordered, voice low yet carrying. Find Ser Barristan at the White Sword Tower. Place this in his keeping, in sight of his brothers. When the bells stop, bring Barristan and the Kingsguard to the throne room. Have him proclaim me protector before all. Young, Jory read the names of witnesses. Maester Keelan, Sir Robar Royce, the scribe pate of the quill, then folded the parchment carefully. "Ay, my lord." He nodded at the guard. "Tomart will, with me. The rest hold fast for Lady Sansa and Arya. No one enters their chambers unsummoned." They clattered off in 2 files, the bare steel of northern longswords catching torchlight. Ned watched them vanish, unease, gnawing. Jory was swift and true, but 5 bells had already tolled. Cersei's lions moved on quiet paws. Their work might already be done. He turned toward the Mews stair, where Varys had promised a discreet passage. The hulking spider had appeared without summons at dawn, gliding from behind a tapestry. "Your grace to be," he'd purred, tasting the title as if it bled honey. "A word of caution. The golden song of coin yet lingers in the gold cloak's ears. Janos Slynt has not lost his taste for silver morsels, though his feast mate Littlefinger lies headless." "What are you saying?" Ned demanded. "That serpents do not die with their first head severed, others grow." Varys' eyelids fluttered. Sir Baelish cultivated many vines in the Watch's garden. Some grapes remain. Then the Watch must hear the king's own will. "To be sure," Varys agreed, fingertips touching. "But words weigh little without gold or fear to ballast them. The queen has coffers, and fear too, if rumor stands true." Ned had stalked away, refusing to wrestle shadows. Now, as he ascended a side stair smelling of dust and cedar, he felt each bell toll vibrate the stone like a warning knell. He emerged into a pillared corridor just as a troop of gold cloaks marched past, their polished lobster plate shoulders creaking. Janos Slynt strode at the head, cheeks flushed, eyes bright and wary, their gazes locked for a heartbeat long enough for Ned to mark the glint of something unreadable there. Defiance, perhaps, or calculation. Slynt dipped his chin, not quite bowing, and ushered his men onward. 2 corridors later, Renly Baratheon darted from a council chamber, green cloak billowing like spring meadows hammered by gale. He nearly collided with Ned, then seized the Hand's arm. "Preta," he whispered, already adopting the title. "There is no time. We must strike first. The Queen means to crown Joff within the hour." "That hour will end with the realm split," Ned replied. "Robert's letter names no son. The lords will accept nothing done in haste." He thought of Stannis, rightful heir by every law. Robert's final words, "Tell Renly he's a proper king," warred in his mind with the bedrock truth of legitimacy. "Send riders," Ned urged. "Call your brother from Storm's End. Until he arrives, the council must profess loyalty to the document." He lifted his hand, holding Robert's sealed ring, the signet of House Baratheon. We wield his own mark. Renly's normally merry eyes flashed. "My brother is stone, unyielding, unlovable. The realm will not flock to his banners, but they love me." He pressed a hand to his chest. "Give me 100 men, and I will take the city, seize the boy and the queen." His earnestness wavered as he studied Ned's face. "You hesitate." "I will not sanction violence against children," Ned said, voice granite. "Nor will I break oaths of peace inside the Red Keep's walls. If I must, I will arrest the queen under authority of protector. But first the king's guard must speak." Renly exhaled before his lips curved in a rueful half-smile. "Honor, always." "Very well." He glanced toward the stair leading to the royal apartments. "I will gather what loyal men I can, should your honor fail to shield you." Then he was gone, boots thudding softly. Ned quickened his pace. The hall narrowed, torchlit faces of past kings glaring down. At the end loomed a set of double doors carved with roaring dragons, the entry to the throne room, where Robert left his mark on steel and stone. Today, it would see Robert's legacy tested. 2 Lannister guards barred the doors, halberds crossed, their lion helm crests caught gilding from torches. "The hall is closed," the taller declared, chin raised. "On whose order?" Ned's voice rang like a drawn blade. "On the Queen's." "Then stand aside," Ned said. "The king has named me protector of the realm, and I act in his name. I will not be kept from his throne." He raised the ring for them to see. The crowned stag, antlers sharp. The shorter guard shifted, but the tall one held firm, hazel eyes flicking to a shadow doorway where a cluster of crimson cloaks waited. From their midst stepped Sir Meryn Trant, pale as bone, mustaches bristling. Lord Stark, he intoned. Her Grace commands privacy while she prepares the prince. The prince may be prepared in peace, Ned said, but the throne room is not the Queen's nursery. Now open these doors. He touched the sword at his hip, not the bastard blade he had carried on the King's Road, but a longer bastard of Valyrian shape gifted by Robert at Pike, lean, black-rippled. Do not make me ask again. Trant hesitated. The clamor of bells had ceased. A hush settling like dust. Far down the corridor Ned heard footsteps, boot on stone, and hoped for Sir Barristan but feared a lion's stride. At last Sir Meryn nodded. The doors creaked, and Ned pushed past into the massive hall. The Iron Throne crouched at the far end, jagged as winter lightning, barbs of swords catching lamplight. Beneath it paced Queen Cersei, green velvets trailing, her golden hair unbound like a banner. At her right stood her son Joffrey, narrow-eyed, jaw set in petulant resolve. Behind them Maester Pycelle and Grand Maester Killan whispered over a scroll. Janos Slynt flanked the queen with a detachment of gold cloaks. Ser Boros Blount lingered near a pillar, crimson plumes wagging. Cersei's gaze locked onto Ned, lips curling. Lord Stark, she said, each syllable dipped in frost. Come to pay homage. Come to read the king's final decree. Ned mounted the dais steps only far enough that he could see every face. Robert died at sunrise, but before he passed he named me protector to rule, until his rightful heir can take the crown. Joffrey thrust his chin. I am his rightful heir. Ned's eyes flicked to the boy. Gold hair, green eyes, Baratheon features absent. The succession requires scrutiny, he said calmly. In times of uncertainty we follow the law. Until the Lords of the Realm confirm the crown's course, we shall respect the king's writ. He raised the sealed parchment so all could see the wax. Cersei's eyes narrowed to slits. You presume much, Stark. The small council is not assembled, and the writ means nothing without their seals. Sir Barristan and the Kingsguard approach even now, Ned replied. Let them bear witness. Pycelle coughed. I fear, my lord, that Sir Barristan was detained. Concerns concerning troop movements near the barracks. He will attend after midday. That smelled of lion claws. Ned glanced to the wings of the hall where a file of Lannister spearmen lined the walls. Gold cloaks too, but fewer than he would like, and their captain conversed softly with Slynt. Then we shall wait, Ned said, placing himself at the dais foot. The throne remains empty until the council meets. Joffrey stamped a boot. I will sit now, the people cry for their king. Before Ned could answer, the great doors opened once more, and Sir Barristan Selmy entered in white, sevenfold cloak swirling, snow among roses. Jory trailed him with Tamard and Will, their faces set. Relief trickled into Ned's chest as Selmy crossed the hall, but another shape moved beside Barristan, tall, shining, Jaime Lannister. The Kingslayer's hand rested on the hilt of a golden lioned sword, expression unreadable. Sir Barristan bowed. Your Grace. He looked from Joffrey to Ned to Cersei, confusion clouding his brow. I was told there is turmoil. Only deceit, Cersei said, smile brittle. Lord Stark claims a forged letter to usurp my son's throne. Ned extended the parchment, the king's seal and signature. Sir Barristan, you were present at many decrees. Confirm the hand. Mem. Cantani. Selmy accepted the scroll, eyes scanning. His lined face paled. This is Robert's writing. He breathed. And his seal. It commands Eddard Stark as protector. He raised his voice. This must be honored. Janos Slynt coughed. Ed King's whim cannot override present necessity. The queen commands the watch to guard her son, our new monarch. Gold cloaks clashed spear butts. Selmy's hand tightened on the parchment. The law says otherwise, Janos. Until the council names the successor, power lies with the protector. He looked at Ned. My sword is yours, Lord Stark, until the realm is settled. Jaime smirked. White cloaks are sworn to protect the king, not parchment. Aye, Barristan said coldly, king, not claimant. He faced Joffrey. Forgive me, my prince, but until the lords confirm your legitimacy, I must withhold obeisance. Joffrey's cheeks flushed scarlet. Legitimacy. My mother is queen. I am no bastard. Silence stretched, heavy as frost. Ned sensed the line drawn. Speak truth of incest, start war inside the hall. He chose stillness, letting the parchment speak. Cersei stepped toward Barristan, skirts whispering. Sir, she hissed, lay down that scroll or commit treason. Barristan's steel-blue gaze did not waver. I serve the realm. He handed the parchment back to Ned. A breath, then Jaime's sword hissed free. Then the realm will bleed for your honor. His men followed suit. Craig Hall, Marbrand, a dozen Lannister knights in red enamel plate. Gold cloaks shuffled, uncertain. Ned drew his sword. Tamad and Will mirrored him. Jory put his back to Ned's, shield raised. Hold, Barristan commanded. Hand up. No blood under the king's roof. Jaime rolled a shoulder. The king is dead, old man. His blade angled. A new one waits. Cersei's voice cut the air. Seize the traitor. Kill those who resist. Spears rattled, but not all leveled at Ned. Half the gold cloaks looked to Barristan, or to their fellows in doubt. In that breath of stillness, Renly burst through a side door, sword unsheathed, 50 warriors of House Baratheon at his back. Mermen of Massey, Knights of Wendwater, archers of Griffin's Roost. They crowded the aisle, shields thunderous. Renly's cry rang. Long live the king, whoever he be, not the bastard spawn. His blade pointed at Cersei. Stand down, sister. Pandemonium erupted, a tangle of blades, boots on marble. Slint shouted orders. Half his men swung spears at Renly's green tide, half faltered. Lannister steel clanged on Stormlander shields. Barristan waded in, parrying a blow toward Joffrey, then elbowed the prince away from combat's heart. Through it all, Ned drove forward, seeking the queen. Cersei retreated, Jaime covering her, sword swirling gold arcs. Ned's Valyrian blade rang against the Kingslayer's, lion guard hilt, sparks flaring. Jaime's grin was feral. You killed Baelish. Come, try your luck on me. I'll take honor over luck, Ned gritted, parrying, riposting. Jaime's speed astonished. He laughed with each exchange. Honor, clang, honor, clash. You northerners taste that word like sweet mead. He feinted low. Ned blocked high and barely twisted aside as Jaime's true thrust flashed for his ribs. Chainmail parted, pain bloomed hot, but shallow. Then Jory seized Jaime from behind, hauling him off balance. Jaime drove a mailed elbow into Jory's nose. Blood spurted. A gold cloak lunged at Ned, who swept his sword in a flat arc, severing spear shaft and opening the man's throat. Screams echoed. On the dais, Renly's men pressed toward Joffrey, but Ser Boros and 2 white cloaks locked shields, holding. Surrender. Renly bellowed at Cersei. Your children will be cared for. Her laughter was chilling. By you? She swung toward Slint. Send a signal. Slint stabbed 2 fingers into the air. A horn outside the doors answered, a long brazen call. In rushed another column, red, but not Lannister red. Cloaks the hue of rust, daggers on hips. The city watch, 200 strong. Their captain, Al-Ardim, bore Slint's colors. They joined the melee, but not against Ned. They fell upon the gold cloaks, who hesitated, upon Lannister men nearest. Janos Slint howled approval. Ned's heart plunged. The watch had split, half for Queen, half for coin. But coin had changed hands. Renly's, perhaps. Or his own earlier chest of silver, given to buy bread for the hungry, now repaid in steel. Whatever the catalyst, chaos favored no side. Barristan fought like a whirlwind, shield shattered, hair white with dust. He interposed between Joffrey and a Stormlander mace, knocking Boy to marble. Blood flecked the old knight's lip. His eyes blazed. "Out, your grace!" he roared, dragging Joffrey behind the throne, vanishing through a servant's portal. Cersei screamed, lunging after, 3 Lannister guards shielding her retreat. Jaime disengaged, shoving Ned back with brutal force, then dashed after twin sister. Renly motioned men to pursue. Ned caught his breath, surveyed the hall. Corpses strewn, banners torn, torches guttering. Slint knelt amid 2 fallen gold cloaks, dagger red. When he saw Ned, he froze, then tossed dagger down and raised hands. "Protector," he stammered. "Did only." Ned walked past him to the throne. The Iron Throne, black and terrible, now rose above a field of gore. Not a single man sat upon it. He turned, voice hoarse, "Clear the dead. Bar the doors. The realm will not be ruled by butchery." Renly wiped blood from cheek. "Your realm bleeds already. We must seize the queen before she seals the city." He strode away, rallying Stormlanders. Selmy limped back through the servants' portal alone. "The prince is gone," he said. "They fled through hidden passages. Then the hunt begins anew," Ned murmured. Within the hour, ravens launched from every turret. To Dragonstone, Storm's End, River Run, High Garden, Old Town. Each bore Ned's seal, proclaiming Robert's death, his writ naming Protector, the council's duty to gather. Meanwhile, the streets outside rang with rumor. Joffrey murdered, Queen assaulted, Northerners overthrowing the true king. Sparrows chanted, "Baratheon!" Drunkards yelled, "Lion!" And somewhere in Fleet Bottom, a peddler wagged a yellow banner daubed with a direwolf. Tamar returned with grim tidings. The queen and her children had taken refuge in Maker's Holdfast, its bridge raised, stone walls thick as betrayal. Jaime's crimson host now garrisoned the Holdfast ramparts. "We could storm," Tamar offered, "but the stones would run red." "Not yet," Ned said. "We starve serpents from their nest." He dispatched men to guard granaries, armories, water cisterns feeding the Holdfast. He sent word to the Iron Bank seeking loans to pay watch officers directly, severing Lannister gold. And he penned missives to Lords Arryn of the Vale's Regency Council, to Doran's Prince Doran, to every power disinclined toward Lannisters. Renly took his knights and rode for Storm's End that night, promising 10,000 swords on return. He urged Ned to flee with him. "You cannot hold the city alone." Ned clasped his forearm. "I must. Honor binds." They parted at the King's Gate with a warrior's embrace. The day after, a small folk delegation arrived outside the Tower of the Hand. Mothers clutching children, fishermen, smiths. They bore baskets of bread and salt fish. Their leader, a gray-haired woman in patched wool, knelt. "Lord Stark," she said, voice trembling. "Word says you fight to keep the queen from stealing the throne for her get. We have little but loyalty." Ned bid them rise, accepted their offerings, and posted Stark guards to distribute food in return for witness. Let the people see Protector's justice. He met with Varys amid the red keeps, empty kitchen stores. The eunuch bowed deep. "The city balances on a spider's thread," he said. "Cersei's holdfast cannot last if the people turn, yet a cornered lioness may clock quick." He presented a parchment, shipping manifests of wildfire, ordered by the queen months earlier to replenish the royal stores. 5,000 jars rest beneath the guild hall of the alchemists. Ned felt a chill. Should the lioness ignite them, the city becomes ash. Varys folded hands. I have secured keys to most vaults, but 3 are missing. Entrusted to Wisdom Hallinine, now summoned to Maegor's Holdfast. A pause. I recommend intercepting his return. See it done, Ned said. No fire before winter takes us. He studied Varys. You have played every side. Where do you stand now? I stand where I must. Behind the realm. Night hid truth, but Ned sensed sincerity, or a mask polished by need. Then serve, he said. Day bled into day. Jaime's lions launched probing sorties from the holdfast testing gates. Ned countered with disciplined patrols. Slint's watch, now paid by the hand's purse, grew stalwart, but loyalty overflowed like sand through clenched fingers. Any moment, gold could purchase new allegiance. On the 5th day, a raven from Dragonstone, Stannis Baratheon marched, galleys laden with 5,000 men, banners of the fiery heart, and crowned stag in flame. He accepted Ned's call, demanded safe anchorage in Blackwater Bay, and claimed rightful crown. On the same day, a message from Cersei fluttered over the walls, arrow-fletched, parchment of green silk, words scrawled as claws. Release my son and daughter to me unharmed, yield the throne room, disavow false claims on the crown, and you may quit the city with your head. Refuse and every friend you have will bleed before your eyes. See. Ned burned the letter. He answered with silence and tightened patrols. Sansa sought him that evening, eyes swollen from fresh tears. Mother writes, Robb calls banners. Her letter from Catelyn detailed Bolton's, Manderly's, Umber's rallying at Winterfell. Ned sighed. Robb is a brave boy, but the North must not march yet. Send word? Hold. I will settle matters here. Arya, dancing with Syrio in the small hall, paused to hug her father's waist, sweat darkening tunic. When we return to Winterfell, can we bring Needle? Needle is yours, Ned smiled. But do not show her here. Arya grinned, darted back. He wrote through the night, letters to Robb, to Hoster Tully, to Sir Brynden, begging patience, pledging swift resolution. Honor, he thought, sometimes demands more steel than war. The 7th day after Robert's passing, the city's lords assembled in the Dragon Pit to debate the crown. Ned arrived with Barristan, Maester Killan, Grandmaster Pycelle, whose neutrality he no longer trusted, and 30 Stark men. Opposite gathered Lord Mace Tyrell, Lord Randall Tarley, the Redwynes, Selhories of the Stepstones, and sundry Riverlord. Seats reserved for lords Arryn, Lannister, and Martell sat empty, messages unanswered or refused. Cersei did not appear. Instead, Sir Kevan Lannister spoke for House Lannister, a parchment bearing her seal appointing him regent for Prince Joffrey. Jaime remained inside the holdfast as her sword. Ned unrolled Robert's writ, recited in clear voice. By this decree, I hold office of Protector. The crown passes next to Stannis Baratheon, eldest surviving brother. He handed forth the Book of Lineages, open to Jon Arryn's Marginalia. The seed is strong. These are the words of our late hand. The Prince Joffrey lacks the Baratheon caste. When Kevin's face reddened. Insinuation. He pounded fist. You defame the noble queen on gossip and scribbles. Ned met his eye. I defame no one. I state fact. Black of hair marks every Baratheon. Joffrey is golden. A mother's love may lie to herself, but the realm must not. Murmurs surged. Lords Merryweather and Rowan studied the lineage charts. Tyrell leaned to whisper with Tarley. The Mander brothers stroked chins. The small folk in gallery yelled, "Bring out the bastard!" and "Stannis the Stern." Kevin countered. Joffrey's hair is the gold of his mother, as is common in mixed lineage. My nephew is Robert's trueborn son. Renly's absence left a vacuum. Tyrells eyed each other. If Stannis took throne, their daughter's queenly hopes died. Ned realized alliances teetered. He addressed them. Whatever your counsel, the law is clear. Stannis inherits. Reject him, and you breed war. Accept, and peace may yet hold. Lord Mace Tyrell rose ponderously. My houses have spilled blood under your watch in the throne room. My man Sir Balon fell defending the queen. We demand redress before naming kings. He sank. Ned's pulse hammered. Balon fell in loyal service amid chaos, engineered by those who defied lawful order. Compensation will be paid from the royal treasury. Yet we named the king first, else there is no treasury. Arguments flared all morning. At midday, Pycelle swayed to his feet, beard quivering, and proposed a compromise. Appoint a regency council of 5, Eddard Stark, Kevan Lannister, Mace Tyrell, Randall Tarley, and Barristan Selmy, to govern until a great council of all 7 kingdoms convened. Let every lord and lady speak. Let truth decide. Ned recognized delay tactics, but sensed hearts leaning. Many feared choosing sides now. He weighed prospects, Stannis sailing, Renly marching, Lannisters entrenched. A great council might favor Renly, or swing to Joffrey if Lannister influence bribed enough lords. But refusal might paint Stark too rigid, fueling southern anger. He needed an ally of weight to break stalemate. Then a horn blew at the gate of the dragon pit. A herald stamped forward, banner of sun and spear snapping. Prince Oberyn Martell, he proclaimed, envoy of Sunspear, arrives. Gasps spread. The Martells had ignored King's Landing since Elia's death. Now the Red Viper approached, clad in orange silk, dark eyes gleaming. He bowed theatrically. Lords, he said, smile venom sweet, dawn answers the call of justice. He turned to Ned. My prince offers 10,000 spears to uphold the true heir by law, whoever he may be. We await your decision. He looked to Kevan and added, we also remember our slain kin, and justice delayed is justice magnified. His words sent ripples. Dorne's weight, aligned with law, shifted scales. Tyrells and Redwynes traded looks, old rivals of Dorne. Would they side by default with Lannister to oppose Martell? The hall buzzed like a hive struck. Ned sensed opportunity to hammer consensus, if he spoke now to unify southern fears. Lords, he said, voice clear through echoing dome. The realm stands on a precipice. Bandits raid the Gold Road already. Ironborn stir. Winter marches. We must end dispute. I propose this. Tomorrow at dawn, those who support Lord Stannis will sign the parchment of fealty. Those who do not may stand for others. Prince Joffrey, Lord Renly. Kevan frowned. Mace Tyrell objected. What of our dead, our wounded? What of injuries done by your Northmen? Ned faced him. Their blood cries out for justice, and I will pay with coin and clemency. But prolonging doubt spills more blood. He addressed all. Stand with me for the law tomorrow, and I shall grant full pardons for today's strife. Barristan added weight. The King's Guard will honor the assembly's result. Let each man swear on the 7. The lords murmured accord, some grudging. Kevan conferred with his captains, then nodded curtly. Very well, but Prince Joffrey will not attend until safety assured. His absence speaks for him. Enough, Ned said. We adjourn until dawn. He left, heart pounding, uncertain whether he had bought peace or invited open war. Night settled like raven wings. Moonlight slicked the rooftops as Ned walked the godswood, seeking counsel and leaf whisper. He knelt beneath the smooth-barked heart tree, breathing pine and rose. Bran's voice echoed memory. Can a man still be brave if he's afraid? That is the only time a man can be brave, Ned told the night. Footsteps. Arya emerged, needle at hip, face solemn. Father, she whispered. A man in black came to me. He said the wolves cannot abide the lion's den. Told me to flee with him east of the river. Her eyes searched his. Should I go? Fear bit him. A faceless man? An assassin? Who? He demanded. Describe him. Tall, lean, hair white, eyes funny, like two colors at once. Yakin Har, prisoner brought from Pike by Yorn. What game? Ned touched Arya's cheek. You will stay where gods can watch you, no strangers. She nodded, but frowned. Sirius says a water dancer listens to whispers. The whisper tonight says the Queen Riddy's wildfire. Ned stiffened, recalling Varys' manifest. Go to your chambers, lock the door. I'll station Tomad outside. She slipped away, silent as snowfall. He rose, sorrow and dread mingling. Wildfire. If Cersei decided to burn the city rather than yield, all their maneuvering would be moot. He would approach the Alchemists' Guild at once, seize every job. As he left the Godswood, he nearly collided with Varys again, emerging ethereal. My Lord Hand, the eunuch breathed. The Queen releases ravens to Casterly Rock in Old Town. I fear she invites foreigners, sells sales perhaps, but more pressing, she seeks wisdom, Halleny. I know, Ned said. Have you secured him? Alas, he vanished within the holdfast, yet rumor says only 3 keys can ignite the vaults. Hallyne has one, the Grand Master another, missing, and the last was carried by. Varys' lips pursed. Sir Jaime, I suggest we relieve him of it. Ned's voice was flint. We cannot breach Maegor's holdfast without bloodbath. Then we must entice the lion to roam. Varys proposed sending a false message. Lannister cousins besieged on Rosby Road, needing relief. Jaime, ever the knight, might ride to rescue. On the field, keys can change pockets, Varys smiled. I will not spread falsehoods, Ned replied. Then we may burn in truth. Varys bowed and vanished. Ned paced the courtyard until dawn's pale kiss lit the sky. The day of decision arrived. In the dragon pit at sunrise, attendants thinned by fear, Mace Tyrell absent, claiming illness, Randall Tarley present but grim, Oberyn lounging, twirling spear butt on floor, Kevin Lannister stone-faced with a token retinue, Selmy, Pycelle, and 30 minor lords, holding parchment quills. Ned laid before them 2 scrolls, one naming fealty to Stannis, one naming support for Joffrey, a third blank for other claimants. Each lord approached, pricked his thumb, pressed a bloody fingerprint upon choice. Tarly, always stern, signed Stannis, as did Rowan, Cauran, Selharis. Redwines hesitated, consulted Father Lord Paxter via whispered messenger, then added seal to Stannis. Oberyn pressed deep red print, smirking. When Kevin's turn came, he stared long at the options. Finally, he took quill and signed the blank, writing Renly Baratheon. Gasps swelled. My house will not war against law, he explained. But neither will we stand for Stannis' tyranny. We favor Renly for mercy's sake. Nur. Ned's stomach nodded, but majority had edged to Stannis. 8-5 to 2 abstentions. He recorded tally. The realm has spoken. Just then, hoofbeats thundered outside. A herald burst in, cloak dust-coated. The ships, he cried. Lord Stannis fleet anchors in Blackwater Bay. His lords demand gates open. Relief flickered across Ned's heart. Early arrival may seal authority. But the herald added, and from the north, Lord Robb Stark marches with 12,000 deerwolves on Greyfield, crossing the neck. They have taken Moat Cailin. Maldy. Murmurs erupted again. War from every compass. Kevin seized on it. See? The north rises, Renly rides, Stannis sails. This is civil war already. Ned slammed gauntleted fist on table. Enough. We will greet Stannis as king and end quarrel before sword meets sword. He signaled Barristan. Escort the lords to the throne room. Kevin snarled, stormed out. Oberyn winked at Ned. The vipers coil, my lord. Pray they swallow each other while we watch. At midday, Stannis Baratheon entered the Red Keep surrounded by Florent knights, banners snapping. His jaw as unyielding as Dragonstone rock. He wore black plate, emblazoned with red-crowned stag aflame. He met Ned in the throne room, stripped of corpses now, floor-scrubbed. They clasped forearms. "Lord Stark," Stannis said, voice flinty. "You kept faith." His eyes flicked to the Iron Throne. "Ugly thing, but mine by right." "And by vote," Ned confirmed. He presented the tally scroll. Stannis scanned, mouth twitching. Renly's arrogance shows. He looked at the throne, as if measuring it for replacement. "We crown at once. Where is Septon Eustace?" Footsteps preceded the Septon, cowled and lantern-jawed, bearing a gold circlet. Barristan planted his sword at the throne's base, bowed. Ned stepped aside as Stannis mounted the dais. But before circlet touched head, steel clanged outside. Doors slammed open. Jaime Lannister strode in, golden armor spattered with blood, helm under arm. "Hold," he commanded. "The ceremony halts until the Queen stands present." Stannis' glare was sunbright. "She may attend or not." "I am her king." Jaime smiled cold. "A king without realm. Your fleet burns, Stannis." Silence razored the air. Stannis' jaw clenched. "Explain." Jaime drew a scroll, tossed it. It unrolled at Stannis' feet. Flames licked edges. At sunrise, wildfire ignited half your ships. A swift strike launched from the shore. Soldiers drown. Your brother's crown floats. The Queen regrets your loss. Ned stared, horror dawning. Wildfire. They'd done it. "How?" he whispered. Jaime's eyes glittered. "Hallyne served loyally. Keys delivered. As for Dragonstone garrison, a few jars upon anchor chains suffice." He shrugged. "Now, shall we discuss surrender?" Stannis trembled with fury, but grief lay beneath. For men lost, hopes charred. Ned moved to his side. "You still have this city." "Not for long," Jaime interrupted. "The Iron Bank will call debts. Tyrell's march tomorrow. Renly converges. You cling to ashes." Barristan leveled his sword. "Do you threaten his grace?" "I offer terms." Jaime smirked. "Yield this city, Stannis. Pledge fealty to King Joffrey, and you may keep Dragonstone." "King Joffrey." Stannis spat. "An abomination. You will have my answer on battlefield steel." "Me? Then steel it is." Jaime bowed mockingly, turned, and left, cloak swirling. Septon Eustace looked to Ned. "Shall we proceed?" Ned met Stannis' eyes. They burned ice blue light. He nodded once. "Place the crown." Golden circlets settled on Stannis' brow. Trumpets blared from ramparts, echoing across city. "Stannis, king!" shouted heralds. Bells resumed, joyous now, though cracked with fear. Small folk in the streets cheered, some half-hearted. Lannister banners vanished from stalls. Tyrell spies reported to Highgarden. Raven wings filled the sky. That night, council met in Tower of the Hand. Stannis, Ned, Barristan, Varys, Davos, Seaworth, newly arrived. Maester Keelan. Stannis tapped table map. "We hold city in North Road. Tyrell's muster at Bitterbridge, 40,000 strong. Renly near Storm's End with 20,000. Lannisters fortify Riverrun approaches. And your son, Lord Stark, marches south." Ned exhaled. "We must unite north and crown early. I will write Robb to bring forces through the neck with King's decree." He turned to Davos. Can your smuggler ships harry Lannister coasts to slow trade? Davos nodded. Varys laid new scrolls. Intelligence suggests Queen Cersei intends to parade Prince Tommen as heir should Joffrey fall. She hoards wildfire for retreat. He tapped 3 red circles on map. Under the Guildhall, Sept of Baelor, and cellars behind Maegor's Holdfast. Neutralize these, and city survives. Stannis assigned Davos and a company of sailors to seize wildfire vaults at dawn. Ned sent Jory with 80 men to reinforce. He would personally lead a sortie to capture the granary feeding Maegor's Holdfast to starve the lions. But before they adjourned, a raven's rasp at window. Message from Robb, penned at Moat Cailin. Ironborn longships raid the stony shore. Balon Greyjoy declares for his own crown. North stretched thin. Stannis grimaced. 7 hells have opened. Ned felt weight of doom. Dawn's light revealed Davos men slipping into the alchemist's compound, disguised as cooperers. By midday, they emerged with wisdom, Halline trust, and 50 jars secured. Varys reported success. Wildfire threat dwindled. Yet Tamard returned bleeding. Ambush near the granary, Lannister crossbows, dogs of the mountain. They failed. The lions still ate. Afternoon, thunderheads rolled. City air grew electric. Ned stood on battlement of the King's Gate, watching Tyrell vanguard banners crest horizon. Green and gold tide, Tyrell rose within Crowned Stag. Their decision made, they marched for Renly, not Lannister. Stannis joined him, face like weathered oak. They choose my brother, jealous of Highgarden's reach. Ned answered, we must parley. Renly will never yield. Stannis' tone eviscerated hope. He calls me traitor for kinslaying, though I have not drawn blade. He turned. Tomorrow we march to Storm's End, crush him, and leave the queen in our rear. Ned protested. My wife and daughter hold Dragonstone. Storm's End is nearer. We strike Renly, then turn on Lannisters, then Ironborn, one foe at a time. Ned thought the plan reckless, but saw no easy argument. War's momentum devoured caution. That night, as thunder cracked, Arya burst into his solar face pale. Father, Sansa's gone. Her maids found doors open. No sign. Cold flooded him. He roused guards, searched corridors, found a guard's corpse near Maiden Vault, throat slit, a tuft of golden hair in dead hand. Jaime had stolen her, hostage for Joffrey or leverage against Ned. Rage consumed him, yet he forced calm. Arya, he said, kneeling, I will find your sister. Stay with Barristan until I return. She wanted to fight. Tears glistened, but she nodded. He went to Stannis. The king listened, brow furrowing. The lion grows bold. Your daughter for my crown, they think me soft. He clasped Ned's shoulder. We ride tonight with storm and shadow. Sir Davos will sail you beneath holdfast walls, infiltrate, free the girl, open gates. Stannis would keep city secure, while Ned led Red Rescue. Davos prepared Black Betha, sleek, black-hulled ship. Crew silent. Ned donned dark leathers, sword-belted. Jory, Tamard, 8 picked men join. Rain sheeted black water, thunder masking oar splashes. They skirted shore, past burned hulks of Stannis galleys, ghost-like, beneath the eastern spur of Maegor's Holdfast. Davos guided to a sally hatch, used by washerwomen to dump linens. Iron grate rusted, Tamard's crowbar pried, slow and grinding. They slipped into narrow tunnel reeking of mildew. Up mossy stairs, behind tapestry, they emerged inside storage halls stacked with casks. Torches sputtered outside. Guards laughed distant. Jory whispered, left to Queensguard chambers. They crept. Ned's heart hammered. Sudden clatter, helmet dropped behind. A sailor stumbled. Gods' voices rose. Jory cursed. Steel hissed. Fight erupted in torchlit corridor. Lannister guards charged. Ned parried spear tip, thrust aside, sliced thigh. Jory felled another. But alarm bells pealed. Reinforcements thundered. Go, Jory yelled. Find the girl. He and 3 held passage. Ned led Tomard and 2 more deeper. They found Maiden Vault antechamber. Door barred. Tomard's axe smashed hinge. Inside candlelit room, Sansa sat bound, eyes tear-red. Jaime opposite, in chair, sword across knees. He looked up. Calm. So the wolf comes, he drawled. I hoped for the king, but his dog will do. Ned advanced. Release my daughter. Jaime rose, unsheathing slowly. Trial by combat. Ned's fury tempered by duty. I came to end this, not duel. Jaime shrugged. Then send men, but risk cutting her. As you cut your way through truth. He raised blade. Tomard rushed. Jaime sidestepped, hamstrung him. Ned pressed. Blades clanging. Jaime's prowess relentless, but Ned fueled by love. He feinted, drove shoulder. They grappled, swords locked. Jaime laughed. Strong, old wolf. He twisted, hooking foot behind Ned's ankle. They crashed to floor. Jaime rolled, sword aimed at Ned's throat. Sansa screamed. Ned caught Jaime's wrist, muscles straining. Pain seared. He headbutted Jaime's nose. Crack. Kingslayer staggered, blood spurting. Ned kicked his knee. They rose. Door burst. Barristan Selmy entered, white cloak soaked rain, blade drawn. Stand down, Kingslayer. Jaime's smile bloody. Ah, the living legend picks sides at last. I uphold my vows. Protect innocence. Barristan advanced. 3-way circle. Jaime weighed odds, flicked glance to Sansa, then back. Blood dripped, but eyes bright with mischief. Another day, he said, stepped to window slit. Tell Stannis it'll return for his head. He dove, impossible, and vanished. Ned sprang to window. Rope ladder down tower wall. Jaime descending to courtyard. Ned cut ropes. Jaime fell last yards, landed rolling, limped into shadows. Barristan freed Sansa. She clung to Ned, sobbing. Guards from both sides neared. Still fighting echoes, Barristan guided them through secret ways, out Sally Hatch. Black Betha whisked them across river as dawn paled clouds. The city woke to news. Protector rescued daughter, Kingslayer escaped. Stannis ordered holdfast ringed, towers pounded with scorpions. Yet Cersei remained inside, wildfire keys lost. Word came from west, Renly crowned at Highgarden, armies swelling. Tyrell's pledge. Balon Greyjoy raids Lannister coast, unsanctioned but convenient for north. Robb marches to Twins, crossing Trident. Council met again. Shoo. Stannis weary, crown tarnished with rainwater, listened to Ned's account. Jaime wields wildfire keys, Ned concluded. Until he is taken, city risks torch. Stannis nodded. We strike holdfast tomorrow at dawn. Thousands will die, Barristan warned. Ned thought of Robert's laughter, of icy weirwoods. Perhaps a parley first, he urged. Offer exile for queen, hostages for peace. Stannis' glare burned. Exile a traitor? No. To justice. Me. Davos suggested blockade. Hunger would weaken them without bloodshed. Stannis relented to 3-day ultimatum. Meanwhile, Ned penned Robb to hurry, wrote Balon Greyjoy offering royal pardon for loyalty, dispatched ravens to Euron rumors. Nothing left untried. In chambers, he held Sansa, assuring safety. Arya hugged her fiercely. Father fought the Kingslayer. Arya crowed, eyes shining. Sansa whispered thanks through tears. Dawn broke violet behind rain clouds. 2 days passed. Maegors hold fast silent but for ravens. On the third morning, gate creaked open. A lone figure in black emerged, white flag raised. Maester Pycelle. He knelt before Stannis and Ned atop rampart walk. "Her grace sues for terms," he wheezed. "She will yield the holdfast if granted safe passage to Casterly Rock with her children and retinue." Stannis' jaw worked. "She stands accused of treason, adultery, regicide, and attempted murder. Her children bear bastardy. Safe passage denies justice." Ned thought of Sansa bound, of winter's approach. Her children are innocent of their birth. Banishment strips them of claim, spares city carnage. No, Maristan supported. Mercy now may spare many. Stannis' eyes hardened, yet he looked at Ned, perhaps remembering his own daughter Shireen. "Very well," he said at length, voice iron rasp. "Exile. The children under guard to Casterly Rock. The queen will face trial at Dragonstone." Pycelle blanched but agreed, returned. At dusk, the drawbridge lowered. Cersei emerged in green gown, face pale, flanked by Sir Lancel and fewer than 50 guards. Joffrey, absent, rumor said, fled with Jaime. Tommen toddled fearful. Myrcella clutched Septa. Stannis awaited, surrounded by knights. "Cersei Lannister," he declared, "you are arrested by order of King Stannis Baratheon." She raised chin. Stannis the Stern indeed. Yet she offered wrists. Chains closed. Small folk watched from balconies. Silent, many kneeling. No wildfire burst. The queen passed to Dragonstone Galley. Children escorted west. That night, the realm exhaled. The following Sennight saw lords arrive. Edmure Tully with River Knights. Garland Tyrell bearing message from Renly seeking parley. Jon Royce with Vale banners. And Prince Doran's envoy with Dornish wine. Ned oversaw councils merging hosts into royal army. The first united front since Eris. Yet war still simmered. Renly refused to yield. Lannister forces harried Riverlands. Ironborn raided. But a foundation of law, broken the day Robert bled, was set anew. And in quiet Godswood, Ned knelt beside Stannis, discussing justice and mercy beneath a heart tree with no face. "Honor nearly killed us," Stannis confessed, voice low. "Yet without it, we are already dead." Ned touched the smooth bark, feeling life pulse beneath. "Winter still comes," he said, "but we have given the realm a chance." He thought of Bran's laughter once, of Robb's sword practice, of Lyanna's tears. Sometimes a man's first hard choice spares 1,000 later. Littlefinger's blood stain on northern roots had flowered into war and peace in equal measure. Ned wondered what the old gods whispered, that one blade swung in honor can wound evil enough to die slow if the wound is watched, tended, guarded. Above the red keep, new banners unfurled. Crowned stag within flaring heart, direwolf rampant beside. The realm breathed tentative unity, and in the shadows of alleys, whispers changed. From lion's roar to wolf's vigilance, from wildfire to winter's promise. Yet far to the north, beyond the wall, white winds howled over ice fields, ignoring crowns and crows alike. They cared nothing for little blades of iron or golden hair, or the dark blood that watered southern stones. They marched in silent legions, their coming slower than war, but truer than oaths. And so the tale wound onward. Honor wrestled power, mercy tempered steel, and the Starks of Winterfell, by the swing of one single sword on a crimson dawn, had altered the song of ice and fire into a new verse still waiting to be sung. Moonless night draped the red keep in veils of humid shadow. every torch sputtering under a brackish wind that smelled of storm-tossed salt and distant fire. In the Tower of the Hand, a single lantern cast amber webs across a war table strewn with sigils: Stag of Flame, Direwolf Grey, Golden Rose, Rampant Lion. Eddard Stark stood hunched beside King Stannis Baratheon, fingers splayed on the grain as though steadying the whole realm with touch alone. Davos Seaworth lingered to one side, eyes sharp as flint. Prince Oberyn Martell balanced on a stool, swirling dark wine. Grand Maester Killan leafed through bone-white ledgers, while Barristan Selmy's shadow loomed in silent vigil. "No word from Renly since the parley summons," Stannis muttered, voice roughened by long counsels and longer doubts. "He camps at Bitterbridge, licking Tyrell honey from his beard." "Tyrell honey buys 50,000 swords," Ned answered. "If those swords turn north, they fall first on the Riverlands, then on us." He tapped a rose banner. "We must reach Renly before the Tyrell bloom hardens into iron fruit." Oberyn's smile flashed viper bright. "Sweet fruit often rots quick when bruised. A single cut and flies swarm." Ned shot him a hard look. "We are done spilling kin blood and shadows. One king slain by boar, another near burned at sea, a queen imprisoned. It is enough." Stannis grunted. "Honor cannot sway Renly. He fancies himself beloved. We need leverage." "Leverage," Davos echoed, rubbing thumb across knuckle scars. "Gold for hungry levies, perhaps? The Tyrell coffers glimmer, but so do the iron banks." Stannis dismissed that with a curt chop of hand. "Lannisters owe thrice what I do. The bank will not lend more until they see a crown secure." Ned's gaze slipped to the map's northern margin where parchment turned pale beneath painted snowdrifts. "There is leverage greater than coin." He reached for a sealed leather satchel. A raven from the wall came while wildfire smoked. "Lord Commander Mormont reports dead men walking, tracks of giants, and wights slain only by fire." Barristan's brow furrowed. "Even Oberyn still." Stannis studied the words. Ned unfolded, candlelight dancing on his stubble-shadowed jaw. "These tales resurface each winter." "They come sooner now," Ned said, voice low. "My brother Benjen vanished, and still I feel his absence tugging at threads no war can mend." Silence settled thick as wool. Then Oberyn broke it with a soft cluck. "Icy phantoms cross the wall while we squabble. The realm may cherish whichever king survives long enough to freeze first." Davos nodded. "A thread beyond banners could bind them." Ned straightened. "We call a great moot at Harrenhal. All claimants, all great houses. Under truce granted by the gods, we lay bare the true peril. Let night's danger dwarf day's ambition." Stannis' blue eyes narrowed. "And if Renly refuses, then he stands exposed as a man who values crown above living souls." For the first time since Robert's death, Stannis' mouth crooked toward something like reluctant respect. "A bold gamble, Stark. Very well. Draft the summons. We ride at first light for Harrenhal with half the court. Davos escorts the ravens to every lord." Barristan cleared his throat. "And the queen?" "She sails for Dragonstone on the morrow," Stannis answered. "Ser Jorah commands the escort." He met Ned's eyes. "I leave King's Landing in your hands, Protector. Guard my daughter, guard the realm." "No." Dawn cracked pale and gritty over cobbled streets, glistening from night rain. Wharfside, black-hulled shy maid bobbed as Cersei Lannister, shackled yet regal, descended the gangplank flanked by Jory Castle and 4 Stark guards. Tommen wept quietly in a litter behind, Myrcella stroking his hand. Small folk watched from piers, wary but curious, A few tossed rotten leeks, but most only stared at the lioness rendered fangless. Cersei paused on the plank, eyes sweeping the crowd until they found Ned Stark on the quay. The faintest smile curved her lips, half pity, half promise of future fangs. "The game is not done, Lord Stark," she said, voice serene above gull cries. "Queens do not die, they molt, nor does the realm forget," Ned answered. "Care for your children, and perhaps the realm will show mercy yet." She laughed, soft and dangerous. "Mercy is the luxury of victors. See that you remain one." Then sailors hauled the ropes, and the shy maid slipped downriver toward mouth of Blackwater, her red sails catching early wind. Sansa, cloaked deep, watched from behind her father. Only once the crimson sails vanished did she whisper, "Will they be safe?" "As safe as we can make them," Ned said, squeezing her hand. He felt Arya's restless presence at his shoulder and turned. "You'll both journey north with Robb's van. The Riverlands grow secure under Tully Banas. You'll rest at River Run till I send word." Arya opened her mouth to protest. Needle and Sirio's lessons still danced in her veins, but one glance at Sansa's fragile poise blunted her protest. "If we must," she mumbled. Ned pressed a quick kiss to her brow. King Stannis departed via Rosby Gate at noon, columns of Baratheon black and red trudging through wet dust. Ned remained atop the Barbican as the last banner disappeared over the rise. Then he turned to tasks. Repair burned ships, seal wildfire vaults, feed the poor before Tyrell harvest routes closed. He convened a small council, new faces at a long table. Davos' eldest son, Matos, kept ship's ledgers. Ser Roderick Castle dissected coin flows. The Spider perched as ever, while Prince Oberyn claimed Baelish's chair with languid ease. "I trust," Oberyn drawled. The former master of coin kept records precise enough to hang himself. Roderick grunted. "Precise as a weasel's maze. Gold moves in circles so quick you'd think numbers were fleas." Ned assigned clerks, opened sealed storerooms, and discovered crates of Myrish lace, bolts of silks, and jars labeled pickled walnuts. Inside the walnut jars, rubies, sapphires, strings of pearl, all collateral for Baelish's hidden debts. "I will never again mock the North's plain ledger," Roderick sighed. Meanwhile, Varys quietly orchestrated a purge of whisperers still loyal to Littlefinger or Lioncoin. More than one spy disappeared into cells beneath the Red Keep. Some re-emerged sworn to serve the realm. Others vanished deeper, names scratched from rolls. Ned disliked the cloak and dagger work but allowed it. Every war needed shadows to swallow darker ones. Harrenhal rose on the horizon 9 days later, a blackened claw gripping lake like prey. Stannis banners ringed the outer yards. Renly's green stag o'top gold rose fluttered to west. Banners of Blackwood and Bracken, Frey, Lannister, Dane, and Martell crowded fields until the ruins pulsed with color like some shattered prism. A truce zone, but tension crackled hotter than autumn air. Ned arrived last with a small guard and a white flag that bore both direwolf and crowned heartstag entwined. Inside Harrenhal's melted audience hall, sturdy timber benches replaced scorched stone. Eyes followed Ned as he advanced. Lysa Arryn thin and distrusting, Balon Greyjoy unexpected in black scale cloak, Doran's proxy Ser Aris Oakhart hawk-gazed, Mace Tyrell heavy with pomp, and, strangest of all, Sandor Clegane hunched and scarred behind Renly's chair, sworn hound to the younger Baratheon now that Joffrey. Renly himself greeted Ned with open arms and a brilliant smile that did not touch wary eyes. "Brother Ned, how fares the capital? Still shy of roses?" Ned bowed stiff. "The capital craves unity. Winter marches." He turned to Stannis, already seated at the high bench. "Shall we begin before insults grow hoarfrost?" Stannis nodded. Renly inclined his head, bemused. Maester Killan stepped forward to read the wall's letter aloud. Corpses that rose, wildlings fleeing, dire wolves howling beneath unnatural aurora. Murmurs rippled. Mace Tyrell scoffed until Davos displayed black-fleshed hand, severed from a white, still twitching and brine-soaked jar. The hall fell sickly quiet. Ned spoke then, voice resonant. "We stand at dawn of a threat older than thrones. Diure portens, gather. If we cannot set aside crown fever, we will deliver this realm to ice and silence." Nundanis. Renly leaned forward, fingers steepled. "I do not doubt your fears, Lord Stark. Yet you ask me to lay down claim for a brother who'd sooner burn me than bend. What of compromise?" Stannis' jaw worked. "Law is no horse to barter. You are younger." "Law does little good on a corpse," Renly shot back, smile gone. "Offer me stewardship of the South, High Garden to Storm's End, and I'll march north at once, stag beside stag." Tyrell murmurs rose. Davos' eyes widened. Stannis looked to Ned, seeking counsel only silently. Ned's mind raced, see to half the realm. Yet time bled. "Let us break for counsel," he urged. 1 hour. Outside, lightning grumbled across towering banks of ash cloud. Ned and Stannis conferred in the Widow's Tower shell. "He seeks to rule without crown," Stannis growled. "Another Robert," froth and smiles. "Yet Robert united the realm once," Ned countered. "If we fight, Tyrell's spears consume our strength before snowdrops settle." Cross courtyard, Renly consulted with Brienne of Tarth, Loras Tyrell, and unexpectedly Balon Greyjoy, who appeared almost amused by southern politics. Ned caught the Kraken Lord's gaze, black eyes reflecting storm. If Renly and Balon forged accord, fleets of Reach and Iron Islands could strangle royal shipping. Ned turned to Stannis. "Grant him lordship as Prince of the Reach and Stormlands. No crown, but autonomy. In return, he marches the full Rose host north and swears fealty. We coronate you with his blade unsheathed at your side." "Monner." Stannis paced, boots echoing. "And when the snows melt, he rebels. Then the realm will judge. But without realm, there is no throne to guard." The king halted, exhaling. "It offends my sense of justice. It serves our chance at survival." Finally, Stannis returned to hall as thunder boomed. Lords rose. Renly arched brow. Stannis spoke. "I name Renly Baratheon Lord Paramount of the South. Lands from the Mander to the Dornish Marches, sworn to crown, no titles above. He will command Tyrell host north come first frost, supply grain, and bend knee today before these witnesses." He paused. "Breach this pact, and the realm will know perjury." "Ah, hush." Mace Tyrell puffed, half affronted. No new crowns for his daughter, but Loras tugged sleeve and whispered. Renly stepped forward, studied Stannis' stern visage, then offered a slow, courtly bow. "I accept, brother." Before gods and men, he knelt. Stannis unsheathed Lightbringer, more rumor than legend, but bright still, and touched blade to Renly's shoulder. The pact sealed. Cheers rose strained but real. Even Balon Greyjoy clapped once, wryly. "Stags grow antlers long as Kraken's arms," he murmured to Ned. "Perhaps ice will not mind if I seize Lannisport while you trek north." "Seize one more rock," Ned warned, "and you'll find north and south both at your throat." Balon merely grinned. 2 weeks of frantic preparation followed. Renly's host pivoted east, road dust pluming as green ranks marched to King's Road rendezvous. Stannis returned to King's Landing long enough to oversee new coinage, stag on obverse, flaming heart on reverse, then readied for northern journey. Ned remained to guard capital until relief garrison from Reach arrived. Within the city, small folk fared better under grain shipments Renly dispatched. Tyrell bakeries popped on every corner, loaves sold for half a stag, Tyrell emblems stamped in crust. Some called it charity, others smelled conquest. Either way, bellies filled. Yet dangers lingered. One mist-shrouded dawn, a hooded figure attempted to sneak wildfire jars into Sep's crypt. Gold cloaks intercepted him, and discovered Lannister coin, sewn in cloak hem. Under gentle persuasion, Varys euphemism, the assassin revealed Joffrey and Jaime sought to ignite riots to reclaim throne once city burned. Their whereabouts, somewhere along the western shore, rallying sellswards with Lannisport gold. Ned ordered every Raven Tower west watched, every innkeeper paid for whispers. He dispatched Gendry Waters, newly discovered bastardy of Robert, strong smith arms and loyal heart, with message to Storm's End. Find Brother Edric Storm, gather loyal bastards, form corps to counter Lannister mercenary. Gendry bowed awkwardly and set off, warhammer slung across back. Meanwhile, letters from the wall darkened. Jon Snow, now steward to Lord Commander, wrote that 200 brothers ranged beyond the Shivering Sea, half returned with frostbite and horror tales of blue-eyed dead. I know these fears firsthand, Father. Jon penned, wafer-thin script betraying fatigue. Send aid, send dragonglass, send prayers. Ned read it thrice, each time harder. He penned a response of love and promised steel being forged. Winter's first true breath swept down upon King's Landing one night in early frostfall. Flecks of snow swirling like pale moths around street lamps. Children squealing wonder. Ned stood on the tower of the hand balcony, cloak snapping. The city below shivered but did not starve. It gave him hope. Behind him, soft step. Sansa, cheeks flushed from packing. We leave at sunrise, she said. Sir Roderick says river roads are safe under Mallister patrols. Ned nodded. Robb will welcome you both. Sansa hesitated. Father, when the snows settle, will you return to us? I will, little bird. He kissed her hair, tasting salt of new tears. And I will bring Arya's wolf back, and Bran's laughter, and maybe even summer. She managed a fragile smile, then withdrew. Ned remained watching snow ghosts spiral. Somewhere beyond that black horizon, Catelyn waited with Mother's River calm. Bran clutched new dreams, Robb marshaled wolves, and Benjen still walked unknown ice. The weight of names beat inside his ribs. Footsteps again, heavy boots. Sir Jory? My lord, Raven from River Run. Robb passes the twins tomorrow. Tully levies join. No. Ned exhaled relief. Send word Stannis rides north 10 days hence. We'll meet at Moat Cailling. Jory lingered. And the Kingslayer? Still untracked, Ned admitted. But winter reveals tracks. We'll find him. The exodus began at dawn. Wagons bearing Stark girls, Roderick's ledgers, barrels of salted fish, suits of castle-forged mail destined for the wall. Ned embraced his daughters at the king's gate, beneath flutter of direwolf banner. Arya pressed Needle's hilt to her father's palm for a heartbeat. I'll need her back, she warned. He smiled. And she'll need you. Then horses clopped northward, and Ned felt frost grow in their absence. That afternoon, he walked to Godswood alone. The weirwood stump here bore no face, even still. Yet Ned closed eyes and whispered a vow to old gods and new. Keep my children whole. Guide my sword true. Let honor find daylight. When he opened them, Varys stood at clearing's edge, silk shoes sinking in fallen leaves. My lord, the spider murmured. Dark rumors ride the winter wines. The Company of the Golden Tooth, funded by Lannister Gold, has quit Westeros for Essos, picking up sellswards in Tyrosh. Their commander claims to bear a dragonhorn, said to summon krakens from sea. None Jovelman. Ned frowned. More myths. Perhaps. Yet war thrives on myth. Varys' black eyes glittered. One more thing. A parchment from Bravos, stamped with iron key. Your debt at the Iron Bank is cleared. Someone paid in full. Who? They did not say, only a rose-scented seal. Tyrell's buying favor once more. Ned filed suspicion away. Thank you, Lord Varys. The eunuch bowed. The realm still slumbers uneasy, but it slumbers. 10 days later, Stannis' armored procession thundered out with 2 hosts, 20,000 heavy infantry, 10,000 light, and a column of lumbering wagons loaded with dragon-glass daggers, forged in forge fires, stoked on dragonstone. Ned rode beside the king beneath early snow that melted on shoulders. Davos steered vanguard galleys parallel along coast, while Oberyn Martell remained as emissary in capital to temper Tyrell ambitions. Varys, to Ned's mild surprise, elected to accompany north. Spiders weave webs wherever flies swarm, and I hear winter breeds the fattest flies. The march north proved arduous yet stirring. Villagers emerged with salted fish, waving Baratheon pennants. Some children clutched crude direwolf carvings, calling Ned Ice Lord. But not all welcomes warm. At Maidenpool, banners of Arryn refused entry until Lysa's messenger verified Stannis' guarantee to safeguard the Vale's trade. At Duskendale, a tavern burned when Lannister paid Sellswords attempted sabotage. Davos Marines quelled flames, but suspicion grew. By the time they reached Harrenhal ruins a second time, now command post for supply, they found sigil of Kraken flapping on gate. Balon Greyjoy awaited, armored, flanked by reavers. My isles stand apart from crown, he declared. Yet the dead men of your north threaten all seas. Grant Pike autonomy forever, and my longships ferrymen along coast, and harry Lannisport. Stannis' rage flared. Autonomy. Another leech on throne. But Ned counseled patience. A kraken fights only for meal. Better feed it scraps than limb. In end, a treaty. Greyjoys keep salt throne, pay annual levy of ships to aid realm. In return, crown renounces claim to insular taxes. Balon sealed pact with salt water and iron blade, yet left with wry parting words. When ice rises, only islands remain above tide. Winter fell in earnest as they crossed the neck. Bitter wind knifed through armor joints. Horses steamed. Men wrapped green wool about faces. Moat Caelan's black towers appeared, direwolf pennants snapping amid ranks of Robb Stark's northern host. Drums thundered welcome. Grey wind howled atop battlement. Father and son embraced, stark grey cloaks mingling. Robb's face already leaner, beard sprouting, eyes older. We hold the neck, but Bolton's skirmish ironborn across marsh. Riverlands bleed. Glad you bring men, father. Stannis nodded curt greeting, wasted no hour. That night, fires flickered in ruined hall as 3 armies mapped advance. 1 column to ride east, protect White Harbor grain. Another west to break Lannister lines at Seaguard. Main force north to Castle Black with dragonglass shipment. Ned volunteered for this last, heart drawn to wall, and to Jon. Stannis agreed. He himself would direct Riverland's offensive with Robb. Before dawn, Ned knelt by Grey Wind, ruffling silver fur, then clasped Robb's shoulder. Beware pride, my son. War is won by standing last, not striking first. Robb nodded solemn. I have learned, father. He pressed a carved weirwood wolf into Ned's palm. Bran's gift, inked in charcoal. Ned tucked it over his heart. The ride to Castle Black carved pain into every bone. Snowdrifts waist deep, white skies bleached featureless. Yet hearts burned fierce. Samwell Tarly greeted them at Eastwatch, round face wind pink. Ravens said you were coming, my lord. The commander waits. He led through halls where torches barely dented chill. In Lord Commander's solar, Jon Snow rose, taller now, jaw shadowed, ghost of boyish hesitation, replaced by steady flame. Ghost trotted by his heel, red eyes reflecting candle. Ned's breath hitched. Father's pride warred with awe. They clasped arms hard. "Father," Jon murmured, voice rough with emotion. "The wall holds, but barely." Mormont stood, gray beard rimed with frost. "We sent riders east. 3 days passed. None returned. Wildlings mass at Frostfangs, driven south by dead things. Commander Halfhand reports white shadows stalking passes." Ned unrolled bundles of dragon glass, knives catching lamplight in gossamer rainbow. "Weapons for your brothers, and 10,000 men follow." He looked round chamber. Thorn's scowl, Gren's wary grin, Gilly's babe cooing. "We stand together." Outside, horns sounded 3 blasts, distant but sure. The room froze. "That's the outer watch," Jon breathed, hand closing on long-clawed dot. "They're here." They rushed to the top of the wall. Night sky blazed with eerie green curtains, aurora rippling like banners of the dead. Below, in forest shadows, blue-lit forms moved. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, silent as snowfall. At their head strode a tall figure on pale horse, crown of ice shards, spear of mist. Wind carried faint cracking music like glass. Ned gripped the rampart, chill seeping through gloves. "Old gods," he whispered. Stannis wore Renly's pride Lannister gold. All shrank beneath that awful procession. Jon's eyes burned bright, ghosts snarled low. Mormont barked orders. Fire quarrels, light pitch. Rangers scurried, torches flared along parapet, painting the wall in flicker. Yet the figures halted just beyond bowshot, untouched. One raised skeletal arm, a frozen horn of translucent ice sounded, low note resonating through every sternum. Snow swirled upward as if drawn to coal. Then they retreated, shadows melting into deeper dark. Silence after horn tasted of iron fear. Mormont exhaled. "They test us." Ned turned to Jon. "We bring thousands, but swords of steel will shatter. We need fire, dragonglass, Valyrian." Jon nodded. "And perhaps dragons." His gaze drifted south, beyond curve of world where whispers spoke of Daenerys Targaryen and hatchling flame. Ned followed that gaze, heart heavy. "We have more foes than seasons, my son. Yet dawn comes only after longest night. Let us prepare." Weeks blurred into furious toil. Smiths at Castle Black forged daggers of obsidian. Torch pits filled with oil. Ravens sped to every lord with word of others' march. Some answers swift. Lyanna Mormont promised every bear that could grip axe. Others hesitant. Walder Frey demanded terms before pledging a single spear. Euron Greyjoy's Raven carried only black feather, ominous. In King's Landing, Oberyn Martell wrote of Tyrell intrigue. Mace presses to wed Margaery to Stannis' daughter Shira, coupling South and Crown. High Septon blesses plan. Stannis balks. Politics tangle anew. Yet city holds, thanks to Iron Bank loans repaid by anonymous rose coins. On field near River Run, Robb broke Lannister vanguard in swift night charge. Earning name young Wolf anew, but Jaime eluded trap. Sighted sailing west, disguised as sell sail. Sly rumors claim he bears a crown for Joffrey forged in Cahor. In distant Essos, whispers swirl of silver-haired queen leading Khalazar of freedmen. 2 young dragons in tow. Letters reach Ned via Bravos confirming she claims ancestral right, but hears talk of ice devouring west. She gathers ships, and through it all, the aurora dances each midnight brighter. Streaks of emerald fire foretelling clash, none can ignore much longer. Top the wall, Ned Stark stands wrapped in black wool and direwolf cloak, lightbringers, amber flare reflecting off dragonglass blades stacked like midnight flame. Jon Snow stands beside, ghost pale hair ruffling in wind, and they share silent vow forged by blood and winter, and the price of one early stroke of justice long months ago in King's Landing. Snowflakes swirl like silent promises as horns sound single blast. Rangers returning with giants in tow, seeking refuge, pledging might. A new alliance takes shape beneath frozen sky. Men and giants, wolves and krakens, stags and roses, forged in fear yet tempered in hope. Below, in crypts deep within Winterfell, old kings stir only in dream, their stone swords unrusted. The song of ice and fire changes key, modulated by the note of a single northern blade that felled a mockingbird at break of story, proof that one act of clarity can shape the echoing music of fate. And though night still gathers, the realm stands not as fractured lutes but as a wary choir, voices uncertain yet united, ready to sing dawn's chorus when it finally breaks beyond the wall of darkest, deepest winter.